Let's play! Hello everybody and welcome back to Narcissu. I'm actually not feeling too well, but this is like my favorite part of the mornings, because I do this every day before I go to school. This is my favorite part, so I can't miss it. It was all the more so for us, 7th floor cases. This was our world. We couldn't even go home without special arrangements. We couldn't go anywhere else at all. The world she was staring out into from this dark 7th floor room was one such somewhere else, the everyday world. There were streets out there filled with houses and blocks that were still ablaze with light, streets filled with people hurrying to and fro, out to parties and home to bed. I was still struggling to come to terms with what I was now. A resident of the 7th floor, an inhabitant of an extraordinary world. There was no place left for me outside. Time has stopped for me. I've passed all these seasons under that white overcast sky without needing to speak to anyone. At first, I used to look out at the window, watching kids running to school, watching the world hurry by. When I got tired of that, I started watching TV more. I didn't have anything better to do. I didn't really have any other options. It helped in a way. It didn't matter what it was like outside, whether it was snowing or whatever, if it was springtime on TV. There was a world for me there. No cold, no heat, no pain, just dreams. A kind of vicarious happy life. I ended up collecting a fair body of knowledge. But what I picked up was just facts and figures to me. I'd somehow lost any sense that the things I saw on TV were actually connected with reality. The books I read were the same way. They didn't seem to be about real things, just abstract concepts. Games were the same. Ultimately, it happened to people too. I didn't seem real myself. My consciousness was just an observer. My body, the family fussing around it, mere objects of observation. So being transferred up here to the 7th floor didn't change much for me. Everything just vanished in the same way when I closed my eyes. It's all I needed, I thought. Decided to think. It didn't seem all that long before the time came for my second temporary discharge. The next time I came back here, I couldn't even be sure I'd be capable of walking unaided. I thought it was pathetic, really, the way I couldn't even struggle against that. Thought it was ridiculous, really, the way I didn't have a place to go. Stopping my life, stopping my heart, carving a long scar into my breast. Even though I've lived 22 years, it still seems a shame. January 19, 2005, the 7th floor. The days continued to pass. The previous days, clouds tore and scattered, and the winter's sky spread out clear and high. My father made one of his rare visits. His face was pained and drawn. The only time he seemed to cheer up was when he was talking about life insurance on me. Now, I need to have the word with the doctor too, so... He left at last. He was probably heading back downstairs, back to that gloomy discussion room. So I was alone again. He'd brought me some magazines. I had nothing better to do, so I reached over for one. They were on the table with the other stuff he'd brought. Fruit and juice and stuff. There's something else beside the basket of fruit. Right in front of the melon, a fruit I detest. Keys. A set of silver sparkling car keys. My father's pride and joy was his coupe, with its custom interior and trim. He'd never dreamed of letting me near that thing. That's what these were the keys to. I still kept my driving license in my breast pocket, even in these pajamas. Even though I'd lost the chance to use it, I kept it there as a reminder that I had had an ordinary life. I laid a hand on the keys. My fingers closed around them. I'd taken them. I didn't really know why. It's just what I ended up doing. It's as though I was watching someone else do it, in a TV drama or something. I had several days' worth of medication in my room, too. Somehow they ended up in a carrier bag, which I ended up in the corridor. There was nobody on duty at the nurse's station. Nobody to see me pass. I continued on past, towards the lifts. In my right hand, the carrier bag. In my left, the car keys. Tucked away in my breast pocket, the driving license I'd never thought I'd be able to use. I reached the lounge and glanced inside. She was in there, plonked in her usual chair, staring listlessly at the TV screen. Are you having fun there? Do I look like I am? Not really. The usual exchange. Her usual expression, detached and distant-eyed. Then, why not come with me instead? Eh? I held up the keys for her to see and continued. I've decided I don't want to die at home. I don't want it to be here either. Then, why not come with me instead? Why not? And with that, she stood up. She shook her long hair, and the lock brushed against the tip of my nose. She added her medicine to the bag. Then we left the 7th floor together. I switched the awful television off as we went. The compier's shrill laughter was cut short, and silence reigned. Clad as we were in pajamas, for want of anything to change into, we rode the lift all the way down to the ground floor. We left by the outpatient's exit, of course, not the main door by the reception. It was less conspicuous and handier for the car park. The freezing wind struck against us full in the face as we stepped outside. The car park was wide open and clear of obstructions. That just made the blast all the stronger. We hurried together across the tarmac. I was looking out for the car. She was looking out for trouble. It didn't take long to find the car. It wasn't the sort that blends in. The silver coupe. My father's pride and joy. I unlocked it. Get in. Okay. I swung myself into the driver's seat. She was already adjusting at her side. At her size, she needed the seat fully upright if she was able to see out. Now, it was just a case of putting the key in the ignition and turning it, while stepping lightly on the accelerator. Also, this is a European car. Just like they taught me at driving school. The engine purred into life. Next, just release the handbrake and let the clutch in gently. And we were free. We could go anywhere. Or should be able to. Shall we go? Okay. She nodded. I shifted into second in reply. We began to glide forwards. It was not the smoothest of starts. The clutch was unfamiliar. Changing gears was consequently a bumpy experience. Bit jerky. Yeah, I haven't driven this before. Come to that, I haven't driven at all since I passed my test. I see. It wasn't that far to the car park exit, and that opened straight onto the main road. There were no traffic lights. I drove straight out without stopping. Our entry onto the road was greeted by a sentiment of horns from the traffic behind us. I accelerated at the speed of the flow, trying not to be flustered by the crutches and jerks that accompanied each inexpert change of gear. This juddering acceleration appeared only to enrage the driver behind us all that more. He honked angrily away. Perhaps he tapped the horn lever down. I managed to push him out of my mind and concentrate on driving. I still wasn't really with it. The whole affair seemed vaguely unreal. You okay there? How do you mean? Are you scared? Would it help if I was? Not quite what I meant. It was still morning. The sun was high. The January sky stretched out and up beyond the windscreen, still, blue, and empty. We had no particular place to go. It was a day for a cold sky, an unfamiliar clutch, a fast car with a shaking chassis. I am not knowledgeable on cars. I have no idea which it is. It was a day to hit the road together in our pajamas. It was that kind of winter day. January 19th, 2005, Baraki Mito Highway. Then came the time of day when the sun began to sink and redden. I had simply driven all day, never once pausing, never once thinking about where we were going. At length it came to my attention that I did not, in fact, have the faintest clue where we were. Mind if we stop for a moment? Okay. It was time to stop and think. We were well away from the city now, of course, out in the middle of nowhere. We'd barely seen such as another car for the last few kilometers. I drew up a nameless lay-by? Okay, I began to take stock of the situation. For example, what resources did we have? Having departed rather hastily without proper plans, we were likely to face with some difficulties. I began to check through the various pockets and compartments around the car. This isn't much to live off. There are a few hundred yen in the ashtray, presumably changed for highway tolls. Apart from that, just a couple of manga volumes and a disposable camera. It's a good thing we didn't have any destination in mind, because the GPS navigation system seemed to be broken. All I had to do to that was the little that it brought me with when we left. My total assets, including the change in the ashtray, barely came to 9,000 yen. I couldn't say I was particularly surprised to find so little had been left in the car. But it was still a blow. With funds this limited, there was no chance we'd be sleeping in hotel beds. And I think that's a good point to end it. Alright guys, next time, more reading. For now, it's off to school. See ya.